Hi, and welcome back. On this channel, I share ideas and best practices for becoming a better innovator. And one of them is actually catching great ideas and thoughts as they come to you. The tricky part is that since the best ideas come to you when you're not behind your desk, is you need an alternate set of tools. I have tested a bunch of them, and in this video I'd like to share my favorite 7 tools for recording ideas. I think most of you are convinced of the usefulness of note-taking. Our memory is fallible, so note-taking is the best scaffolding you can use to enhance it. In a previous video we touched on the difference between diffuse and focused thinking. And the important takeaway was that the best ideas often get to you when you're not actively working on them. Like while taking a walk in nature or gardening or in the shower or the bathtub or just before you fall asleep. Now the tricky part is that right at these moments you often don't have the means with you to record these thoughts. Which means they often get lost. You think you'll remember? Think again. So without further ado, here's my top 7 of methods to record your thoughts when you're not at your desk. Number 1 is a small notebook and a pen. I love the idea of just writing ideas down with pen and paper. Since we're staring at screens for many hours a day, having a method that is analog feels wonderful and doesn't interrupt with your flow. I love the little portable notebooks Moleskine makes that easily fit any pocket. And ever since I've fallen in love with fountain pens, I keep a Kaweco Sport one with me on the go to write. It is small, but it expands to full size for great writing. Since the screw-on caps fits nicely, I have never had problems with leaking ink. Get an extra fine or EF tip for the best match to this notebook size. Number 2 is of course using your phone. When going digital, using your phone is a nice option. I used to use the stock Notes app on my Apple iPhone, and that was mainly because there's nice synchronization with the iPad and the desktop app, so it's easy to further process the notes down the road. Since I'm now using Roam Research as my personal knowledge management system, I switched to their Safari Quick Capture feature, which is not the quickest in the world, but the ability to immediately tag and use project names is great in reducing friction, so I prefer that right now. Number 3 is using your Apple Watch and an app called Drafts. Drafts is another multi-platform note-taking app. The great advantage this has is that it also has an Apple Watch app using dictation. When I'm in the car or on the move, I can tap on the complication on my home screen and dictate my thoughts. These are then transcribed and synced with the iPad, iPhone and desktop apps via iCloud. Number 4 is using a dedicated voice recorder. If you don't want to use your phone or a watch, you can also buy a cheap dedicated voice recorder. I bought one at Amazon for less than $30 and the recording quality is actually really good. The only downside is that you need to remember to transcribe, which adds friction to the process. I still have about 20 notes to be transcribed. Number 5 is a light pen, which is a great option when you're in bed at night. Bright phone screens tend to wake me up, so I found a pen that is often used by sailors and pilots. It holds a dim red LED light, just enough to see your writing. If you have a small writing pad and the pen in a fixed spot, you can easily find it and get your thoughts on paper. Number 6 is the Amazon Echo. In good Archimedes tradition, I like to spend time in the tub, so I've spent quite some time experimenting with recording your thoughts while you're in there. I've experimented with plastic sheets stuck to the wall and whiteboard markers, but I really didn't like that. So far, my best option is using the Amazon Echo. What many don't know is that the Echo is easily powered for several hours by a small phone battery pack. Then I use the integration with Todoist, so ideas are transferred over there. Once there's an app linking the Echo to Rome Research, I'm sold, but I didn't find one yet. If I find one, I will link it in the description below. Number 7 is no tools. This is your final straw when you don't have anything with you to record your thoughts. There are some strategies you might use. The first one is to share it with the person you're with. Even the act of sharing it helps you remember later on. Second one is to change something to remind you. For instance, putting your watch in your pocket or holding a bank card in your hand for the entire time until you get home and you're able to record your note. And finally, last one is just to repeat the idea over and over in your head, maybe in different kind of iterations, until you reach home and you're able to record your thoughts. After you've picked your weapon of choice, remember some ground rules for fast note-taking. And the first one is write to understand later. This might seem totally obvious, but I've had several occasions where I found a note the day after saying something like, "The internet, but in reverse, genius." And that only leaves you with frustration and a dented self-image. And the second one is transcribe ASAP. The faster you're able to transcribe your quick note into a fully fledged note with everything in it, the better your chances are of retrieving all the details. I will leave the generics of great note-taking for another video. But remember that even these quick notes are part of a system. No note is ever useful if you never run into it again. So using any system or process that resurfaces is good. Based on your relaxation preferences, pick one of these options and start experimenting. Or just start noticing under which circumstances you tend to have the best ideas. Now you've heard a number of options and my experiences with them, you're more likely to start noticing when you get the best ideas. All ideas are potential building blocks for great innovation, so don't let them go to waste. If you have other great ideas for note-taking on the go, please share them in the comments. I will see you next week.